So, Andy, what is your number one what if in Chicago Bears history?
So I'm going to say, what if in 1986, after the Bears' legendary trip to Super Bowl 20, if they had chosen to stick with Buddy Ryan over Mike Ditka? So there's backstory here. Obviously, Buddy Ryan went for a head coaching job. That's why he left. Also, for those that don't follow the Bears closely, you may not know, Buddy Ryan and Mike Ditka did not like each other. Buddy Ryan, the legendary defensive coordinator that made that dominant defense what it was also the defensive coordinator for the Neil Armstrong-led Chicago Bears. And then Neil Armstrong was fired in 1982. The players on defense wrote a letter to George Halas, who was still running the show, but not really that in tune with anything at that point because he was quite an old man. He assured the Bears players that I'm going to get the name wrong. I think it was Buddy Parsons was completely safe. He didn't seem to know who Buddy Ryan was, basically. Okay. And they were asking, hey, if you're going to hire a head coach, we think it should be Buddy Ryan. Obviously, they didn't go that direction. They hired Mike Ditka. Mike Ditka had his own defensive coordinator in mind, but Halas did say, hey, this Buddy guy should probably do it. That's what the players want. And the rest is history. Mike Ditka wanted to run a Dallas Cowboys-esque defense. Not being a Cowboys fan, I don't know what kind of a defense they ran in the early 80s, but I know he was an assistant coach and a former player for the Cowboys, along with being a former Bear. And so he had strong ties to the Cowboys. He lists the Cowboys head coach, who's escaping me, legendary one with the hat. Tom Landry. He lists Tom Landry as his mentor. And anyways, so that's where it stems from. They got along for a while. Buddy's defenses carried the way. Now, Mike Ditka, probably not a popular thing to say with Bears fans, but Mike Ditka wasn't a good coach.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So I will say there are scheme coaches and then there are rah-rah coaches. And Ditka was definitely a rah-rah coach. And in that regard, he was good. He knew how to get his players amped up. But that defense, I mean, they've never, even to current Super Bowl levels, you've never seen a Super Bowl end with them picking up the defensive coordinator and carrying him off the field like the 85 Bears did. Wow. And that shows where their heart was. And then to throw on top of that some of the questionable decisions that Ditka has made through the years in his Bears time and once he went to the Saints. He basically chased Jim McMahon out of town. And then, okay, I don't have a problem with that, although I am a huge Jim McMahon fan. But if you have a replacement in mind that's better, okay. But he went through Doug Flutie, he went through Jim Harbaugh, through Mike Tomczak, through Steve Fuller, and he couldn't stick with any of them. You know, as soon as one of them had a bad game, you're on the bench, calling the other guy up. Again, that's not really something a great coach does. Yeah. Then you see some of the questionable decisions. Sorry, you want to? I got another announcement there.
Okay.
Okay.
Whenever you're ready.
Okay, sorry. So some of the decisions that were made after he left the Bears when he went to the Saints, trading the entire draft away for Ricky Williams. That's more of a GM, but that. Still. And then idea. he had, the same quarterback problems there. He had Heath Schuler, Danny Werfel, a guy named Doug Nussmeier, who's actually a coach in the NFL now. And he couldn't stick with any of them. So it's just, love Mike Ditka to death. Don't get me wrong.
What do you think would have happened if they had kept Buddy Ryan? I think Buddy Ryan went to Houston later after this job, right? Or was it Philly?
He was hired by the Philadelphia Eagles.
That's right.
He was their head coach, and you actually watched a lot of those those Bears players go to the Eagles afterwards. So All I'm saying is maybe another Super Bowl. I don't think they would have been a dynasty,
Mm-hmm.
but the Bears defense continued to be successful after Buddy Ryan left because of all the talent that they had. But they
Mm-hmm.
never reached those levels like they did in 85. And I
Yeah.
just feel like it was maybe, and this is an emotional, spin, but I feel like maybe it was because their heart was with Buddy. Buddy was the one that really got them charged up and raring to go.
Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't know about this. I didn't know that. Obviously, I knew about Buddy Ryan and the famous things like the 4-6 defense, and of course the '85
Yep.
Bears with the arguably the greatest defense in the history of the NFL. I didn't know that they had that choice to make, and I thought, Ditka was kind of a legendary guy, much beloved. I didn't know there were Bears fans that didn't really like him. So this is a
Well, so I
interesting
don't want to go.
insight.
I don't want to say I don't like Mike Ditka. I love Mike Ditka. I just don't think he
Okay,
was a
okay,
great coach.
got it.
That's
That's a good distinction. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
And so just not to walk this one into the dirt too much, but there's just look at the players that followed. Look at so famously, Buddy Ryan told the team before Super Bowl 20, "Hey, I've accepted a job in Philadelphia to be their head coach."
Mm-hmm.
It was on record that most of the defense was in tears. Big, strong, the '85 Bears defense were crying because their defensive coordinator was leaving.
Wow.
Yeah, it just shows that they wanted to play for Buddy.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that, like I said, the talent was there. Maybe the heart wasn't as much.
Yeah.
Once he
So
was
maybe
gone.
the rest of the '80s go a little bit different for the Bears in this case.